Welcome back, Focus Learners. Today, we are diving into what honestly feels like a cinematic, psychological thriller of modern internet fame. We're unspooling the incredible, turbulent autobiography of an entertainer who lived through a dizzying rise, a devastating fall, and a totally record-breaking return, all playing out under the relentless, unforgiving spotlight of the digital age. This is the story of Samay Raina, a comedian who didn't just play the game of internet stardom, he literally rewrote the rulebook.
Okay, just take a second and let this number sink in. 53.4 million. That isn't just a high view count, guys. That is a shattered world record. That represents the most watched full-length stand-up comedy special in the world on a single upload. Achieving this level of massive global success is something most entertainers can only ever dream of. It shows this staggering peak of current fame. But to truly understand the weight of that massive number, we have to look at what happened right before it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because just a short while before breaking those global records, Samay Raina was staring straight into the abyss of absolute cancellation. As he later revealed, the potential cancellation of his tour during his biggest controversy would have wiped out 8 crore rupees, basically his entire life savings. His whole empire was teetering right on the brink of total collapse. To understand exactly how he got to this terrifying edge and how he somehow pulled himself back, we need to rewind the clock.
Section 1. The Unlikely Underdog.
So, long before the private cars and the millions of subscribers, Samay's story was really defined by survival. He was born in 1997 in Jammu, but his Kashmiri Pandit family was forced to flee their home in Kupwara when he was just 2 years old. They actually lived in refugee camps before eventually relocating to Hyderabad. And there, during his school years, he faced severe bullying. He later described himself as a literal punching bag. But here's the thing. This is exactly where his comedic armor was forged. He used dark humor and roasting just to survive socially. Fast forward to 2017, he's grinding through a printing engineering degree in Pune that he openly hated, and he finally finds his way to a local open mic. He had no mentor, no connections, just a lifetime of pain that he managed to convert into punchlines.
And that raw, unfiltered style, it completely set him apart on the local comedy circuit. In 2019, he entered Amazon Prime's Comic-Con Season 2 as the youngest contestant in the room, the ultimate dark horse. And guess what? He walked away as the joint winner. This gave a 22-year-old Samay his very first taste of real national fame. He had a massive platform and a huge tour ready to launch. But then, the entire world completely shut down.
Section 2. The Brilliant Pandemic Pivot.
And this brilliantly illustrates the turning point. March 2020 hits. Live shows are dead. For an up-and-coming stand-up comedian, this really should have been game over. Instead, Samay executed a calculated grandmaster play for sheer survival. Just look at this contrast. He went from grinding in local comedy clubs to literally pioneering YouTube chess streaming. At the suggestion of fellow comic Tanmay Bhatt, Samay just started streaming his lifelong passion, chess. And soon enough, he wasn't just playing. He was pulling in actual grandmasters, and even playing world champion Magnus Carlsen live on stream. Crazy, right?
He basically checkmated the entire internet. He launched these highly successful comedians on board tournaments. He brought a totally niche intellectual game to the Indian masses by mixing it with humor, alongside absolute legends like Viswanathan Anand and Vidit Gujrathi. He even competed internationally, winning the 2021 Botez Bullet Invitational and later the 2025 Super PogChamps. And in this brilliant display of character, he generously donated his entire $10,000 Super PogChamps prize to the Help Chess Foundation to support young girls in Haiti. He didn't just survive the pandemic, guys. He sparked a massive cultural chess boom in India.
Section 3. Building a Viral Empire. All right, so having totally mastered the digital landscape, Samay made his most ambitious move yet. He was about to create a project that would shift him from a famous streamer to an absolute digital mogul. In June 2024, he launched India's Got Latent. It was this raw, chaotic, entirely unscripted parody talent show where everyday people showcased bizarre, niche talents to a panel of celebrity judges. And it was an instant, overwhelming success. I mean, episodes were pulling in millions of views. They even launched an accompanying app that topped the Apple and Google Play charts within hours. It was a commercial juggernaut that perfectly captured exactly what the internet was craving: unfiltered entertainment.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer scale of the empire he built from it. We're talking about an estimated net worth of 140 to 195 crore rupees. That is massive, and it's built on incredibly diversified streams. You've got millions of dollars annually just from YouTube ad revenue, massive live touring ticket sales, brand endorsements leveraging his nearly 6 million Instagram followers, and, of course, the intellectual property of his own app. He was standing right at the absolute peak of the digital mountain.
Section 4. The devastating cancellation.
But, as the saying goes, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And man, in the digital economy, a fall can happen at the speed of light. In February 2025, during an episode of India's Got Latent, guest podcaster Ranveer Alabadia made a graphically explicit joke. A short clip of it went super viral, completely stripped of the longer context of the show. The reaction was immediate, it was explosive. Days later, multiple FIRs were filed across different states. Weeks after that, the issue was actually debated in the Lok Sabha. The National Human Rights Commission objected, and the Supreme Court literally intervened, ordering an apology for separate jokes made on the show. Faced with this overwhelming legal and public pressure, Samay made the drastic decision to delete every single episode of his hit show from YouTube.
The fallout was just absolutely instantaneous. Parts of his Still Alive and Unfiltered tour in major cities like Delhi, Ahmedabad, and Surat faced immediate cancellations. Think about that. Years of audience building, a massive piece of intellectual property, and potentially millions in revenue were seemingly erased overnight. It really exposed the absolute fragility of the creator economy, where literally one unscripted moment can trigger a total reputational and legal collapse.
Section 5. The record-breaking return.
Let's move on and see how this builds, because this wouldn't be much of a cinematic thriller if our protagonist just stayed down, right? This is all about resilience, strategy, and what happens when an internet grandmaster decides to make his final, triumphant move. Step 1 of his unprecedented comeback: accountability. In October 2025, right on his birthday, he issued a direct, heartfelt public apology to the disability community, even committing to monthly fundraising events. Step 2. He gets right back on stage. The resumed global tour sold a staggering 40,000 tickets in a single hour. Step 3. He takes it global, debuting at the iconic Madison Square Garden in New York. And finally, Step 4. In April 2026, he drops the stand-up special Still Alive, where he openly addresses the financial strain, the public humiliation, and the mental toll of the whole controversy. And as we saw right at the beginning of this explainer, it totally shattered global records.
But maybe the most fascinating part of this entire comeback wasn't the insane views or the money. In that special, Samay spoke really deeply about his own father, who sacrificed everything just to afford his education. He urged his young, predominantly male audience to break down their emotional walls and simply tell their fathers they love them. And it sparked this massive, viral social media trend, the Samay Raina challenge. Thousands of young men started filming themselves awkwardly, humorously, but so genuinely telling their dads, "I love you," capturing these beautiful, unfiltered reactions. He took his own personal crisis and turned it into a moment of genuine cultural healing.
Which leaves us right here, at the end of this incredible arc, with a pretty profound question. We've seen a young man turn bullying into comedy, a global pandemic into a chess revolution, and an unscripted joke into a national controversy that nearly cost him everything. Yet, by staying fiercely authentic to his audience, he achieved record-breaking heights. So what is the true cost and the ultimate reward of living completely unfiltered in the digital age? It's a remarkably high-stakes game, and Samay Raina just showed us all exactly how the Grandmasters play it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep questioning the world around you.